Yo.
Hello, everybody. We're back again for another
from my city, Los Angeles.
Yeah, so another hopefully interesting episode of the James and Oris show. Today we'll be talking about a couple of stories that has happened over the week, and as usual, analyze and just sort of share our opinions on the news around the entertainment industry. And I think number one on our list is actually the story of Brymo's excerpt from Brymo's interview, where he particularly talked about what he feels or thinks about Burna Boy's music or craft.
Not just Burna Boy, but also the general Afrobeats genre, or as he calls it, style, because he says it's not a genre, it's really just a style.
So I'll just quickly breeze through and say, so Brymo said Burna Boy is cheap and very unoriginal. And in addition to that, he said both Wizkid, all of them, that they are thieves of the genre, like they stole or just sort of tapped into the late Afrobeat legend Fela Kuti's should I say Afrobeat genre, and then turned it into a style. I don't know. It's just sort of all shades of scattered. I want to say, but basically what he's saying is that the likes of Burna Boy, Wizkid, I want to also think that he also added the video to the equation, and every other person that is making Afrobeats music, that they are not original and they are not making, any sensible music.
No, I feel like that might be putting it too much. Okay. I think it's maybe two things. On the one hand, Burna Boy is not original. He's taking stuff from Fela. On the other hand, the genre itself, he doesn't feel has a right to exist, because essentially even the naming is just taking the Afrobeat and then adding an to it. I think those are the two major points there. So I think other than maybe, I guess, they are now like subheadings on both of those major points. One of them is for Burna Boy using slangs that are already popular on the streets to make music one. So that's, in his own view, is like not original. Another one is just jacking lines from Fela, or maybe sounds too from Fela, which too for him is also not original. Then on the other hand of the genre itself, on the one hand there's the idea of just adding S to it. On the other hand, how he feels like black music generally, they want to change the names of stuff so they can be the first people to do a certain thing. Meanwhile, it should be continuous. I feel like for this second bit, it's a little tricky, because he was saying something about how hip-hop was hip-hop and then it was rap and then it was trap music and everything. But I feel like it's not the same thing, in a sense that for hip-hop, there has always been a widening or narrowing or whatever of the music. So that's like, I think, a misconception on his own end, using that as a comparison. But I think for Afrobeats, he probably very tiny point, because in a sense people almost want to think of Afrobeats as something that just showed up a few years ago and doesn't really have predecessors. In fact, to use something Burna Boy said about how nobody paved it for him, when he said that years ago, you get. So maybe that's the sense. And for Brymo, is like, no, it should just be something that this happened, then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, as opposed to like saying, hey, we created this new thing. But of course, the thing is, it is not the artists themselves that created any of these things.
As far as I'm concerned, it was the diaspora, our people or the media in diaspora in the UK, yes.
It was the UK, apparently one
that just coined it and called it Afrobeats. And of course, with time, I was resistant of the tagging of.
I remember the time it decided to become popular. I was still like a West African editor for a particular platform, and we focused. My website was on music, and I remember that I always avoided using that particular word whenever I was writing. I would say
that using
pop. No, I avoided using it at the time. But I think after I left, I was there for like 4 or 5 years. And when I left, I just realized that, the battle has kind of been won and lost. I struggled
with, let me tell you, one time
we have lost the battle.
I will never forget my interview with Ice Prince one of those days. And when I had a column on This Day newspaper, and I was asking Ice Prince about Afrobeats, and I was saying that, look, people are labeling this Nigerian music Afrobeats. In fact, some of them have actually called you an Afrobeats artist, and he said that he doesn't mind. If we are all if our music is recognized like that he doesn't really mind, and I think he feels like it gives them more inclusion or more acknowledgement when people label them like that. And I just feel like, okay, I mean, that was the conversation, but for me, I just thought that no, for even the artists, even like MI, for instance, Fino, a lot of our artists these days, they still call them Afrobeats artists. And I just feel like it's actually out of place. By the time you now just mumble and just pack everything in one place, and then you say they're all Afrobeats artists, I really think it's actually not what it is. Now, I also feel like that same thing is what's affecting when it comes to the connection or relationship between Nigerian artists and maybe South African artists and some other countries who are doing their own kind of music or their own sound, like even with the Amapiano and all of those things. It looks like even when Nigerian artists now still do it, if it goes all out there, they still call them Afrobeats artists, and I don't think the other people really like it like that. But that's even by the way. Let's still come back and focus on the fact that on Brymo's opinion. I feel like, yes, I understand when you have to share your opinion about a situation, but I also feel like the way you need to land your point where it's not still more like inciting or disrespectful to the person concerned or the people concerned. I just feel like it sort of disrespects the hard work that these guys have also put into their craft to have become who they are today, or to have achieved what they've achieved today.
Well, I guess I would kind of want to agree with the idea of like saying stuff in a particular way, but at the same time I feel like I'm not sure that there's a way Brymo could have said what he said that would have come up to anybody as less, well, maybe a little bit less inflammatory, but they would always going to be unhappy about what he said about the music, certainly. Maybe of course calling people cheap, calling and thieves tricky, yes.
Yeah.
But wait, the sentiment itself, I think, could have still caused issues no matter what. It's kind of like Burna Boy. When Burna Boy spoke about Afrobeat music not being about anything, it's just a statement of fact. It's not whatever. And then of course people took it as he's insulting everybody else. You get? So whether you say idiot or whether you say you just know, if you say somebody's bad and say somebody's just not good, the responses in both sides, in both ways, might still be, if not quite at par, but pretty close. You understand? So I feel Brymo has the right to say what he said. Maybe I wouldn't have said thieves and everything, but I feel like what he said probably needed to be said. And James pointed out to me earlier, by the way, off air, that in a certain sense it's kind of balanced out, because Burna Boy said that thing too about his colleagues in the industry. So in a certain sense, Brymo is also talking his own too. So yeah, 2-2 goalless draw, as they say. 2-2 goalless draw, so, as they say.
It's even, eh?
Yeah, it's very even. I feel like Brymo gets a bad rap these days. I think for 2 or maybe for 3 reasons. Two of them are really big. The other one is not quite. So I think for 3 reasons. The first one is, of course, I think last or 2 years ago, when there was that whole thing about sexual violence and stuff, there was an issue about that online.
The one with
Not with anybody, no,
okay,
not with anybody. Just there. It was something. So certain people remember that. James doesn't remember it, but many people kind of remember that whole incident. So there is that part of his reputation that is still super shaky. That's one. 2, pretty much kind of the way he goes about speaking about certain stuff. For instance, the thing about Simi and Adekunle Gold, of course, which is recent history, that also ties into it. I think the third thing is, some people feel like he hasn't quite lived up to the expectations that they had based on his talent. Some people assume that, okay, you're so talented, you should be the king of the world, and then you don't become the king of the world, and then they're angry, like, okay, Abba, we felt this way about you, and you haven't lived up to it. In a certain sense, you might be unhappy about it in your household, but your fans or the audience also angry about it too, and they'll take it out on you that you haven't quite lived up to this particular expectation. I think this combination of these 3 things sort of puts Brymo in a very, very funny position where people probably would want him to just be quiet forever, in terms of minus his music, of course, or to speak very, very gently. You understand? However, the man still feels that, you know what, I have these opinions, and if you ask me, depending on the day, he would quite clearly he will share exactly. And I don't think he has a PR team. I think that's another problem, because I feel like something like this happens, the people who are, well, some of them, I don't know if it's all of them, but I feel like some people would next do some kind of interview where they clarify what they meant, put out a statement, you know, so just kind of explain their exact position on things. But Brymo doesn't do that. He has all of these things, and then you're not quite sure what happened next. And of course, the blogs will take all of these kind of things. He tweeted, if he tweets an apology, it won't be quite as celebrated. So that's why I'm saying you need a PR person to now make that apology go everywhere. You know, that's kind of how you handle this kind of PR thing. Because the bad ones that you said, everybody will carry it without any. In fact, they don't need any excuse. They'll take it. You get. Absolutely. However, when you tweet an apology or you tweet something that's probably nice or something that's probably conciliatory, nobody would carry that. You then need to pay a publicist who probably knows the blogs to go and say, okay, you know what, guys, here's what he said after that thing. Find a way to put it all over the place. But it looks to me like Brymo doesn't care, which is probably a mistake because of the amount of I think insults, or just the way his reputation has kind of been going down over the years. I'm not happy about it because I'm a big fan of Brymo, especially his early music. I'm big as fan. I still think he's talented. So Brymo, if you watch this, get a PR guy.
Okay, we have to keep it moving. The MTV EMA, the next edition of the show of the awards that's coming up in November, they've announced the
nominees.
The nominees, not just nominees, and the inauguration of the Afrobeats category, where we have the likes of Burna Boy, Davido, Brymo, Ashake, Ira Star, and even a French artist called Aya Nakamura.
Oh, is she French?
Category. Yes. So now, the question is, are you surprised? It's
which one is surprised? Am I surprised at the nominees?
Yeah, Afrobeats category.
Or the category?
Yeah.
The category. No, of course. Once, I think the way the world works, or the way certain field, every field I think works, is somebody does one thing, everybody else that's in that field is trying to okay, how can we took our head inside and do our own version of it. You see this even across brands. You see MTN is a type of advert, maybe get a big star. Next week you're seeing Globacom trying to took their head to and do something of the sort. You see Pepsi do something, you see Coca-Cola trying to do it. You see Amazon, or is it Facebook or somebody, sacks everybody in the company. The next thing, another tech company too, Facebook is imitating Amazon because Bezos did it. So now Elon wants to do it, and then Zuckerberg wants to do it. There's just this head mentality in all of these industries. So once the Grammys, which of course is the big boy in terms of music awards, decided that they were going to have a category,
Best African Performance category.
Yes. Once they had that, and among the styles, the genres that they mentioned, like the notes to describe the category, once they included Afrobeats in that, and they've been talking about Afrobeats for a while, and the world too seems to be vibing to Afrobeats. So on the one hand, you have the populist one, which is what happens on social media and everywhere else, talking about, and the music just being played across certain platforms in the West. Then you have the big boy, the Grammys, say, oh, we are going to do this category. This category is going to include something called Afrobeats. It feels like, okay, everybody else is going to want to follow that. So, and now you have the MTV VMAs say, you know what, we are going to have a category called Afrobeats. For me, beyond, or rather alongside, this particular story is what will probably happen at the Grammys when the nominees list for that one happens. It almost feels to me like we are probably heading to a point where, if not because of the politics of geography, countries and everything, there probably might have been a clean sweep of the nomination categories, the nomination list having only a Nigerian artist. I feel like that is almost possibly going to happen. But I think because, of course, they'll be like, okay, you cannot have nominees from just one country. So politics will come into it. But it looks to me like if they were not thinking heavily about politics, they really would have just put up the 5 artists or 4 whatever artists list is going to be there, or they're not going to be Nigerian artists.
I would like to. I haven't listened to Aya's music.
Okay, Nakamura.
Yeah, Nakamura.
Yeah. For a while,
I really want
never
to
listen to Beats.
You know, I probably will know her music, but I'm not sure. But I need to listen now again to be sure exactly and to see how it fits, you know, under the Afrobeat category. But besides that, for me, you know, I think that someone like Mr. Ayo Animashaun, the executive producer of the Headies, will be, you know, nodding his head and say, yeah, you know, now they see or they understand what I was trying to do to protect or sort of claim the ground before all these other guys come in. Especially when the Headies is not an award that is, in quote, as big as the EMAs and the Grammys and all. So, but one of the things I see that the awards organizers are trying to do is actually position the Headies as an authority from the African perspective of, and then of you know, the pioneer or the roots of Afrobeats music. And I think that it was a good move that they actually moved it to more international grounds. And it's only a matter of time we even start getting more categories even at the Grammys and all of these other international awards.
No, so speak a little bit about the Headies bit. So are you saying that taking it to the US probably protect the, what's the word now? Protect the
ownership,
jacking? Yes, the ownership, yes.
Yeah, I think it does, because when you bring it to their faces and say Afrobeats, you know, you guys have been hearing about Afrobeats, or you talk about Afrobeats, this is the award that recognizes or, you know, rewards these Afrobeats musicians or the artists or this music that you hear all across or in your own vicinity. I think it's a lot easier when you bring it there, and bringing it there also means that you're indulging their press, you're indulging their media, you're indulging their people, do you understand, to sort of participate in the process, as against where you're having it here where they can actually act like they've never heard about you before. Do you understand what I'm saying? So moving it there to have the award there means that they had gone there, they had registered the award there in America to say this is Afrobeats, this is the Headies,
Okay,
an Afrobeats award. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, it says before any other person, and this is exactly what is happening right now. So imagine if the Headies come later and now say we want to have an Afrobeat category after these EMAs and the Grammys have done it. How will you feel? Especially when it's coming from your backyard. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how I see it, you know, basically. But I mean, for me, I think this.
We should cut this bit and show it to Nigerians, because people have been complaining about the Headies going to the US.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So
James are just giving like
broken down basically
decent reason as to why that's the case.
So, but that's, by the way, congratulations to the nominees.
Yeah, exactly, to the nominees.
Fingers crossed. I think.
Yeah, but
it's
you know,
anyway.
yeah, but isn't there something little? I mean, just piggybacking on what James had just said about the Headies and stuff. There's something a little bit. I have the word is worrying now that I was at the Headies, which I was there. James too was around at the Headies. There was I had a conversation with a bunch of guys from the hip hop space in Nigeria, in Atlanta, over there, and someone whose name I will not mention made a point about how people are no longer excited when they get some kind of validation from like the local scene. So he was saying that there was a particular gig, some amount of millions of naira that was put on the table for a particular, you know, he was supposed to perform at, or someone was supposed to perform at, you know, and in the WhatsApp group where the leader of record label had mentioned this, nobody was really responding to it, you know, because they're like, I beg, you know. But meanwhile, if it was in dollars, you know, they probably would have been more excited. So I just wonder if we are not again selling our, kind of like Esau, again selling our birthright for a certain amount of dollars, you know. I understand the need to make money right here, right now, you know, but I wonder, like, the foundation. So now James has said something. So we have the awards. So okay, no matter how we complain about the Headies, we at least have it. Let us be happy about that, you know. But in terms of the platforms, in terms of like generating revenue, I'm always disturbed by the fact that a lot of this revenue is going abroad. And with people like this, my guy telling me that, oh, even within the record labels themselves, they're not excited about Nigerian arrangements. I think it's even more and more the case that over the next few years, this is only going to get worse. and I'm just personally disturbed by the situation.
I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I don't think I might not be in a position to defend or explain or sort of deal with what you just said now. But what comes to mind as well when you talk about dollars, look at the country or economy today. Even with the awards organizers, there's still the elements of business in it. By the time you want to deal with this whole thing here, plus the Nigerian factor, plus every other thing you want to think about, will hit you. But when you talk about exchange and stuff, it's also still easier for you to, make your money in dollars. Then you can come here and know how to, spread it around however you can. I don't know, but it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I think the final story we are going to talk about today, and real quick, will be the Naira Marley is now in the custody of the Nigerian police, and same as Sam Larry. And the interesting, I mean, we all know that he needed to come back, or he had been requested or asked to show or report to the police station. Else, the police would have just declared him wanted, like they did to one other artist under the label now. But before that, we know all how everything has happened around the whole Mohbad passing. Everybody, I think that is everybody. We are all probably all aware about the controversy surrounding the guy's death. But this time around, I think it's also important that we needed to hear, or the police needed to hear from Naira Marley and Sam Larry, who were people that have been mentioned a lot in the guy's passing, even much more than the nurse or the hospital where Mohbad had visited and had been injected, that led to his eventual passage. So, but it was only proper or right that the police needed to hear. I'm sure the public too were all also interested to know, to hear Naira Marley's position in this situation. But where do you think we'll go from here? Basically.
I don't know, because Nigeria is a very, very wonky, strange place. So I don't know what I would say. What I would say is, where I like us to go from here. So the ideal thing, what happens from my own perspective, will be that the police, of course, now that they have two people who have been mentioned a lot since Mohbad died, question them, get the truth, hopefully, without crossing the line, but get the truth about from Mohbad's passing from them, and as well as other people as well. Provide a detailed account of the events that led up to Mohbad's death. Alongside this, also explain to us his duration of living between leaving the Mali music, Malian music, whatever, and his death. Because I think, like I said, those are two different things. On the one hand, he clearly was harassed, and by the way, he had petitioned the police about his harassment at the hands of Sam Larry, who he said was sent by Naira Marley. So those are two different things. Give us a detailed account about the death and what exactly was the proximate and the immediate cause of that, as well as the months whatever before he passed, what exactly was his living condition like. If Naira has to go down for that, so be it. If somebody, because I don't personally think that Naira had a hand in the death directly. If somebody else was paying for the death, let them also go to that. Let them also go in for that. So those two things, I feel like since we are all involved in this very weird way, we need some kind of closure. And closure would only come if you get like a detailed account of what exactly had happened to make him pass, and how his last few months were like, just living, because it looked like he was living under a threat of violence whenever I went out. Those two accounts, and whoever is implicated in both ways should pay the price. That's what I think.
Okay, I mean, fantastic. For me, I also feel like Naira Marley coming in was very important. I don't think he would have gone there alone. Naira Marley, I think, he's a smart guy.
Which is lawyer.
Gone there with his lawyer.
Okay.
And but what's actually interesting for me is, I don't know if it was supposed to be so. I mean, the police had gotten the rights. I mean, the court has given, or like, I don't know if I would say an injunction or a right for the police to have him under their custody for 21 days. Now, I don't know if this applies to just Naira Marley or Naira Marley and Sam Larry, you know, but that they should be in custody for questioning, for interrogation for 21 days. And I'm wondering, why do they need 21 days for this? Actually, don't forget that before Naira Marley turned himself in, or before he was got into custody, there's supposed to have been some kind of investigation going on already. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, how long would they be needing to have a conversation? Do you understand? Because before now, they should have gotten, like, maybe if it's evidences, if it's clues or whatever that they will have on ground to now start asking these questions. Well, I don't understand why they need to keep him in their custody for 21 days. I know it's a murder case. I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a murder case yet.
We don't know that yet.
We don't know this. So that's what I'm saying. So why would they have to keep him for 21 days if this?
I wouldn't know. I guess maybe it's like maximum time possible. So however long it takes. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. Although like, it looks like they obtained a legal, what's it called, document to detain him for that long. So in my own view, that's entirely fine since they did that. There's
also one person that is that the police has said is still at large, and I mean the last thing I heard was that a 1 million naira bounty was placed on this particular artist. Yes,
that
they
give
needs to be.
Whatever there. So I'm not sure what his own connection is to the thing, but they said he's a friend to Mohbad. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, it's like kind of like, I think the report that the FBI had, when it was that the Hush Puppy report or the one with the so-called corrupt cop. What's his name? Abakari. Was it Abakari?
Abakari, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So him. Either one of them, you know. But they had, the FBI had like an incredibly detailed document about
evidence
exactly about what he exactly what he had been up to. Very detailed, several pages long. So that's what I'm saying, that the Nigerian police has to also produce. Now you have a bunch of people in custody. If you want to arrest more, arrest more. Just end of the day, one of the things we need to see is like, okay, the full account of what exactly happened.
So let's say, even though we don't have information, or we're not privy to the information of you know, the evidences that they have and all of that, what do you think, or where do you think this case will end? Okay, let me tell you quickly what I feel. I feel like this case is going to end on the table of the nurse who had injected Mohbad before he died. I also think that for Naira Marley, the issue of harassment and all of those things may not even suffice, may not even work, because there might not be any. So now the only thing that might change the situation or the story will be witnesses. And if that does not happen, I don't think Naira Marley will have any case to answer for. He is going to go.
Yeah, so it kind of depends. If something can be, if the witnesses can talk about Sam Larry, and then they lean on Sam Larry, and then he implicates Naira, then maybe. But you're right. I think that Naira is almost definitely not going to pay for anything. Almost definitely. Because if they ignored that initial petition that time, when they could have had much more stuff at the time, I feel like all those trail is gone cold now. I'm not sure that there will be anything really you can hold the man to.
Then except they want to now start drawing in other allegations, maybe drugs and all those things, which I don't think.
That's not going to be our own business. That's always been NDLA and him. That's not our business.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the show for you guys. As usual, my name is James Silas.
This is
Oris, and we're on Instagram, and the X app, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, I know the other time I said, I don't know if this guy's on Facebook. He said, I'm on Facebook, so we can still say Facebook too.
We can't say Facebook. I'm on Facebook.
I'm on TikTok. This guy is too cool for TikTok.
I'm too old. I'm too old. It's not cool, too cool. I'm just too old.
I'm also on Snapchat. This guy is on Snapchat. I'm just everywhere.
What's a married man doing on Snapchat? Please, can you people tell us what do married men do on Snapchat?
This guy is not cool. He doesn't know what's up. Anyway, go to those platforms. Check out James Silas. You'll find me.
My own is Catch Oris, so it's CATCHORIS. Catch Oris on Twitter, Catch Oris Gram on Instagram, and Catch Oris actually also on Facebook. Yes.
We'll see you guys on the next one. But please don't forget to subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think about the things we've talked about today. Exactly. We'd like to know your thoughts on it.
What you think about it.
Absolutely. And we'll see you on the next one.
And I'll be very happy if you disagree with James Silas.
Peace.